What up, what up, what up? We live from outer space again. I make mad beats.
Period.
Period off top. Welcome to Type Beat, a producer podcast. We are live here with once again. I make mad beats.
It's your boy Kid Maestro.
Unique in the building.
Your boy LJ1S. We here.
Indeed, Sheena in the back. Make sure our facts are straight. You know what I'm saying? Off top. Let me fix this focus right quick. One of y'all introduce the topic.
Joe biting ass niggas.
Damn.
You biting or nah?
Yeah, what is
What?
biting?
You know what I'm
Explain.
saying?
We need to come to a consensus, right?
Right,
Of what is biting.
right.
Is there a spectrum? You know what I'm saying? Is biting ever okay? What's the difference between being influenced by and biting somebody's style? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm gonna let one
Can
of
you
y'all hold that
graduate
first.
from biting to being influenced by? You know what I'm saying? What? You know what I'm saying?
But some people have though. Some people have like used biting as a way to even like make their careers what they are, and then decided to take those biting ass habits and make it into their own.
That's okay for me.
so
I
unfortunate.
I think that's when it becomes biting. Is basically when once it gets out to the public. Like if yeah, because there's a difference in like, especially like when you're first starting, trying to learn. So you probably mimic your favorite producer or who you're inspired by. But like it gets to a point if you're starting to have like success with this shit, then obviously you know that's not your sound.
So it's like the not royalty free loops. Like we don't care unless you get a placement.
I feel like that's what it is. Like because that's when people really acknowledge, like, bro, that's when niggas start questioning, like, is this such and such? Did such and such produce this? And then you be like, you look up the credits, be like, no, who the fuck is this? Sounding just
So
like.
how much is so? It's like a certain level of success. It becomes biting.
I believe like what he was saying, like if you study, like say if you studied like
Definitely point at the mic though.
one
Get the mic.
producer all your life.
Talking to the mic.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Say if you studied like one producer all your life or whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
and all of your beats are pretty much a replica of what that producer did. You didn't put no kind of difference to it. You didn't put your own style into it or nothing like that. Like it sounds exactly like this person. That's what biting is, especially when it gets out to the public or whatnot. Then folks be like, "Oh, bro, you sound just like such and such."
I think the public eye makes it a
Worse.
difference because,
Yeah.
like I said, you can if you're biting, but you're still unknown or you're not making a career out of that
Right.
sound, versus you just trying to practice and learn what your favorite producer did. Yeah, I think once you get to the point of you making a career out of another producer's sound or whatever, yeah, you definitely buy it.
So all right, just so I'm clear, I want to make sure I understand. So let's say, all right, yeah, I'm trying to get my drums to sound like Ninth Wonder, right? So you listening
AKA
to
DJ Premier. Go ahead.
You know what I'm saying? Right. So let's take it all the way back. Sorry,
Right.
DJ Premier. I'm trying to get my drums to hit like DJ Premier drums. So you're making beats, trying to figure it out, right? You upload that to YouTube, nobody listen, right? Then somebody come along, pick up that beat, Kendrick, J. Cole, whoever, and pick up that beat. Right now, all of a sudden, you a biter.
Yeah, you another
Yeah.
version of
Chewing hard than the
DJ Premier or Ninth Wonder or I mean, for me, I'm not even uploading that beat to YouTube,
Cause they
especially if I know.
copyright.
I don't even think they'll hit you with the copyright because you're still making the beat. But like if you're when in creating the beat itself, if you know for a fact I'm imitating such and such, and you be like, all right, this is cool. I did like, that's biting. You take credit for something that you know damn well, like you were influenced by or trying to remake one of your favorite producer's songs or something, and you upload that.
But so not trying to remake the song.
Yeah.
Just trying to get it to I'm trying to get my drums to sound like DJ Premier drums. I got my own samples. You know what I'm saying? I programmed it,
Right.
but I'm trying to get it to have that same knock.
Wow.
Okay. Well, in
I
that
guess
case,
that wouldn't be considered biting.
Using a reference mix.
that
So
would go into.
I guess that'll depend on if you actually made your track sound exactly like that reference mix. You know what I'm saying? Or even the reference song. Like hey, I want to remake this whole track like exactly how I heard it. I can't buy it, so I'm gonna remake it type shit. Like, like
Hey, hold on.
niggas
So,
do that.
hold on. So yeah, I've been patiently waiting. First of all, that really happened.
Yeah,
It really does.
I've been there when it's
Yeah.
happening. I've had people ask me to do that.
Yep.
That absolutely happens.
Yeah.
Like it's not even a thing. Like it's you know who it happens to the most. So it can be I just don't have the money to pay for it, or I don't want to pay this person
Yep.
because they're not a known name.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Like so I can just. This is why like
bro.
this is why being unique, pun intended. Actually, you know what? Hold on. Time. My bad.
We fucked up.
We totally fucked up.
We fucked up.
Hey yo, everybody out there, you know.
Hey, we
Hold on,
just jumped
messed
into
up. Hey yo, selector, rewind that. Hey.
I already know what's the sound. What's the sound?
Hold on. Calm. Let's. Hey, you know what I'm saying? First and foremost, this episode of Outer Space is sponsored by Unique's stunt on the game. Right? So,
Man,
Unique,
facts.
what up?
What's up?
You good?
Oh yeah.
All right, so Unique came. For those who don't know, Unique is a brilliant songwriter, vocalist, artist, producer, and designer. Every time Unique come in this junk, you know, we just victims of the stunt. You know what I'm saying? Because she come in wearing the most ridiculously unique stuff, and she custom makes it herself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
All right. Today she came in with this hat, son, and I just got through watching Wu-Tang, son, so I'm out here still.
Yeah, you got to show the whole fit.
Yeah, show the whole junk. You know what I'm
Because
saying?
it's multiple pieces. Let
Yeah.
me hold the mic for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let me just.
The stunt be
Yeah,
real.
man.
Yeah.
All right, tell me what to say.
Bag with
So
the.
this is a handmade skirt.
Handmade skirt, custom
You
made.
know what I'm saying? I got the bag to match with the pocket purse. Pockets
You know what I'm
on
saying?
both sides.
This is
know what I'm
custom,
saying?
you know what
It's
I'm
all
saying?
custom, man. This ain't you can't
This
buy this
this
nowhere.
this
You know what I'm
this didn't
saying?
exist.
Definitely. Even the hat, very unapologetic. It opens up. There is none
This the
other
stunt
like
right here.
this one.
Y'all ready? This the stunt right here.
This is the
This is crazy right here.
cream of the crop. And always remember, weird is normal.
Weird is normal.
Bro.
Come on,
Always
man.
right.
This was made in the
Yo,
last
that's-
16 hours. Like,
What's going on, man?
Probably
bruh.
less than that. The
What
way
is
she
going
cook
on?
it up.
It's crazy right
Right.
here.
Yeah, that's fire.
So this episode is sponsored by that style.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Unique designs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Unique designs.
Absolutely.
Yes. Back to the subject at hand.
Absolutely. And unofficially, and also officially sponsored by my G's Coffee Black.
Period.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Go get that golden brew.
That
Yeah,
golden
yeah,
brew's
yeah,
crazy.
But yeah, back to the topic. You know what I'm saying? We had to set it off properly.
Joe biting niggas.
Joe Biden. You know what I'm saying?
Biden,
Damn.
yes,
All right. So I mean, this is why for me it is incredibly important to have your own sound. And let me be clear about something. So I think I have a different measurement of what is biting and what isn't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because biting has a negative. I mean, the topic is the name itself has a negative connotation. But like we all learn from mimicking.
Yeah.
True.
You know what I'm saying? We're all like, there's definitely no I Make Mad Beats without hundreds of beats mimicking Jay Dilla. You know what I'm saying? And so I think the important part of it is just that at some point, like when I'm mimicking, my goal wasn't necessarily to sound like Jay Dilla as much as it was to figure out how is he doing
The
this.
techniques. Yep.
Yeah. And at some point, you're supposed to get enough techniques and tools to now forge your own sword,
Yeah.
right? That's the goal, right? And so for me, that's where. So in that early time period of like honing my skills, I don't call that biting. I call that like learning. I call that learning. Now, for me, biting is an intention thing, right? So for example, biting is either never ever taking what I've learned and developing my own style, right? Or, and here's the worst part, and this is the part that happens the most, it happens to me a lot, is when you try to act like it was you who came up with that.
Yep.
That's biting. Everything
man,
outside of it is
off
being
top.
I'm 1000% gonna say, like, you know what I'm saying, I got this from Dilla. I got this from Pharrell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When people ask me, I have no problem showing the origin of these approaches.
Right.
I got this from Stevie Wonder. I got this from blah, 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 blah. Nope, it did not start with me. I want to make sure y'all know I'm a vessel of these people's ideas, right? That's paying homage. That's being influenced, right? Biting is acting like, that's right, I'm a genius.
Yep.
So when you
Narcissistic.
when you accuse somebody of biting, right? How much information is necessary, right? So let's say we listening to one of these beats, right? Where what I'm saying, we could hear like, oh, this sounds like some Jay Dilla drums. You know what I'm saying? Or this swing is something he would do, right? Right? When you hear that without talking to the person or any interviews, you'd be like, oh, he biting Jay Dilla. Or does it become biting after he says, yeah, you know what I'm saying, it's just me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're asking how much of an explanation is necessary.
Yeah. To say something is being bitten.
Especially from a cold listen. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a very subjective thing. I think that's going to differ from person to person, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I do think, though, like, if I were to generally, like, try to assess that, I think that there are certain things that, like, let me just say this. I think it is a bitter creator that calls every obvious influence biting. You know what I'm saying? Meaning, like if we could keep it 1,000 wow, it's usually the people who couldn't figure out what somebody else did who are mad that you did. And they're the ones who are quick to call you a biter versus somebody who learned, someone who was educated.
That's interesting.
Yeah. It's usually people whose drums sound terrible are the ones who are going to find a way to bring down the fact that you figured out how to make your drum sound like somebody that you both admire.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, side note, I'm just going to start saying Lil Thou Wow. You know what I'm saying? Lil Thou Wow. To be Lil Thou Wow with you.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, but I guess we still haven't truly answered. So, how much information is needed?
Yeah, how much do you think, before you say something is biting?
Oh, you can tell by the way they structure the song, the way they make it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, okay, let's say somebody took Mother Sang to Us. That's shout out to I Make Mad Beats track. No,
Yeah.
Say somebody took Mother Sang to Us, got somebody to sing the same damn vocal that he got Marie to sing, made the same exact effects and mixes within the track. They just decided to use a different drum.
Yeah.
That's still a biting ass nigga.
Is it cool if they be like, yeah, I was paying homage to I Make Mad Beats?
Oh, if they're paying homage, then that's cool.
If they say that,
yeah, if they're paying
you
homage,
still respecting that? You know?
I don't know.
I'll be
Somebody
50-50 about
Mike
it.
Tashina, fam.
Yeah, I'll be 50-50 about it or whatnot because for one, if they are paying homage, you know what I'm saying, it would have come with a, hey, did you talk to this person before you even decided to do something like this, or did you like fuck this nigga, I'm gonna do it and then say I'm paying homage, like type shit.
I mean, you don't always have access to everybody to pay homage.
Yeah.
True, but if you know who this motherfucker is, you know what I'm saying.
Let me speak on that right quick. So, like, when I first heard Flying Lotus, the very first time, actually, no, it was before I even heard him. My man Sean, big up my man Sean. He said he was telling me about Flying Lotus, and I was just like, yeah. And I was like, he's like, yeah, he's kind of got some Jay Dilla vibes, and I was like, man, I don't really want to hear no more Jay Dilla dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just kind of want to listen to just Dilla. You know what I'm saying? And I kind of hung him up as a biter before I even heard his stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just because, and if I'm being honest, like it was a tough time. Like Dilla had just passed.
Gotcha.
And it was just like a slew of like loose drums, bass line everywhere, people. You know what I'm saying? And it was clearly like the Sharks were trying to figure out who was gonna be the successor to this sound. And I was just kind of over it all. So it wasn't. I was kind of jaded in my own way. But when I first heard his stuff, when I actually heard it, I remember thinking to myself like, oh, this does sound like Dilla, but it sounds different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like the heavy influence is clearly there.
Right.
But he still has his own thing happening there, right? And I was, and I kind of took the hammer of biting back. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, nah, he has similar vibes, but he has his own approach to it.
Right.
I'll mention that, and then I'll mention Monty Booker, right? When I first heard his stuff, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, yo, I remember just hearing Smino stuff. And just like, I didn't know anything about Smino's producer. I just knew that like all of this stuff has this weird jazz, loose vibe. Right?
Yeah.
And I remember thinking to myself like, man, I bet this dude loves Jay Dilla. I bet. You know what I'm saying? And then I finally followed him on Instagram. And in the background of every picture of his is like a Jay Dilla vinyl or a picture or something. You know what I'm saying? And he didn't have to vocally or even through text give homage, you know what I'm saying, as much as just the pictures show. Like,
Right.
this man loves and respects what has come from Detroit, and is not ashamed nor afraid to show it.
Right.
Like, no, this is clearly where I get my sound.
Right.
I just mixed that with a little bit of the Midwest. You know what I'm saying? And so it's not really. I don't think it's a really binary or black and white thing. But I do think it's an intention thing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because we could if somebody were to say, yo, Tyler be biting Pharrell, I mean, I think a lot of what Tyler does, he got from
Comes from
Pharrell.
Pharrell, yeah.
But Tyler is so clear
Yeah.
about,
That's a big homie,
that you respect him. And then it opens the door for you to also see what he's doing differently than Pharrell.
Fact,
Yep.
fact.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. I feel like, especially in January, I kind of took like a sabbatical to work on just my own music, and like the stuff I was making, like listening back, it was surprising me. It was like, oh wow, my influences are way more at the surface than I thought. You know what I'm saying? But I personally felt like it was clearly still me, but it was. It just was like, if you were to listen to this, you'd be like, you could hear the mix of these very specific people. If I were to name them, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's there, that's that. And so, but I had no intention on it. I'm trying to make some, you know what I'm saying, some Timberland shit or something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it's this there, and it's a part of it. So if somebody were to say I was biting, I mean, I guess I would feel it, but I would kind of be offended. I'd be like, nah, like I took the time to make sure I was doing me. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Y'all got me
might say,
fucked up.
I made sure I took the time to make sure I was definitely doing me. And so I almost feel like you can't help it. I feel like you can't help but have some of your influence pop through, especially the better you get, because your influences, at least for a long time, are a lot better than you. So as you get better, things, you know what I'm saying, that upper level people do, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you can kind of, I don't know. So I don't know. Biting is just crazy. But I also think about this one particular time where like we was at this joint, and I'm not saying no names, but somebody legit like played the same chord progression of a beat this man Neem played like a couple days before or sometime before, and we just showed up to a show, and that was this man's song. It was the same chord progression, different drums.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But it was the same chord progression, and it was definitely like, damn.
Yeah.
But was that being influenced?
Yeah.
It felt like biting at the time. But
I mean,
you know.
I mean, I don't want to say no name. I don't want to say no. But like, yeah, nah, I mean, again, like to me, it's intention. You know what I'm saying? If I originally came up with, like, you know what I'm saying? Like I didn't get that chord progression. Like I originally wrote this chord progression. You know what I'm saying? It's different, man. And again, it's case by case. Like if I just sample somebody randomly, I may not hit them up on Twitter and be like, "Hey, dog, I sampled your stuff." Blah, blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's one thing. But if I know you,
Yeah.
Like I literally sat there and watched you made something,
Yeah, that's
and then I make something from what you made, and just move on and don't even say. That's wild to me.
Yeah.
That's wild. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why whenever I totally understand where we are now in terms of like, man, put yourself up on social media. You know what I'm saying? And how much, not even potentially, how much that can game-changingly change your career. Like how many times have we heard somebody say like, yeah, new Dr. Dre with Eminem song. I found this beat on SoundCloud or whatever.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you know and how great that can be. But at the same time, man, like I don't know, man, because people just be like just taking shit, man.
I sure
You know what I mean?
wanted to ask y'all, like, have y'all ever experienced that personally? I know I have, but
He just yeah.
Yeah.
well, not besides. I'm saying with you guys, like, have y'all ever experienced that personally?
Yeah.
Not that I know of in terms of music. I definitely feel like in terms of social media, you know, there's definitely an artist, and you know, shout out to them. But I remember them like commenting like on my videos, like and asking like how I did like my green screen videos and stuff. And now that's their whole brand. Like,
Wow.
yeah,
That's interesting.
Yeah, I would say this too. Like I've definitely have that happen. You know, many times regarding music. But I think it's different for me because I think in a lot of my life I've positioned myself as a kind of teacher. You know what I'm saying? And so people picking up on the things that I teach, it makes more sense. I think honestly, for me, where biting is like, I don't know. I don't. Maybe I'm just not used to this kind of biting yet. It's when people bite my ideas outside of music. You know what I'm saying? Like I think if we keeping it all the way live,
Lil Thou Wow.
one Thou Wow, Lil Thou Wow,
Lil Thou Wow, Lil Thou Wow,
Lil
come
Thou Wow. No. If we keeping it all the way live, like there is so much happening in this city that was not happening before Unapologetic did it in terms of the creative scene here, right?
I agree with that.
And people will take the things they learn from you to try to compete with you. And that to me, and then have the nerve, and then be mad at you when they don't win.
Bruh,
And
I promise.
that's the part. And it's not, honestly, it's not even the biting part that's bothering me. It's the,
Attitude behind it, the cockiness.
it's not, it's something like that. It's like, it's the, why would you use something you learned from me to position yourself against me? Like, why wouldn't you do that with me?
Yeah.
I feel
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
I feel
Like
that.
C Major, he's learned things from me, but we do it together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know, why would you try to compete with me with things you clearly learned from me and are afraid to tell people you got from me?
Crab in the bucket ass niggas.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's
Joe
be all the way
Biden
live.
ass nigga.
Like that to me, that is the essence of biting. It is taking and hiding your hand. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that to me, everything else is like somewhere in the middle, some kind of ambiguity.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah.
it's unfortunately a big mass of that in a lot of areas in our city. And it's kind of unfortunate, but it's so crazy because I hear all the time from different underground or local people saying, "Oh, we need to come together, we need to work together and do this as a unit, this, that, and the other." When the opportunities come, everybody acts like they have their own things going on. You know what I'm saying?
So, okay, on some like, all right, let's say biting in the most respectable way, which would be like, yo, you did this, I was inspired, I did something similar. Hopefully, whatever I did has my own spin on it, has my own piece of identity, which I feel like. Again, I don't know. I feel like that should be the default. Like anyway, but so you got your own spin, and then I come to you, I'm like, yo, man, check this out, man. I got this from you. I was super inspired. You know what I'm saying? If that were to happen to you in real life, are you like happy about it? Like, Or do you still, or do y'all feel like, man, I still wish you didn't?
Is it because I mean, some people wouldn't mind like being if someone is inspired. What were you gonna say?
Well, I feel like what you just described is literally like my whole life. Like, like that's literally that happens more than it doesn't happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's just with ideas or musically, I think I just had to own, like, when you get to a certain level of this, you're gonna be an influence. And you have to learn how to be you have to learn how to receive being an influence, right? Like I tell people all the time, like, at some point, like, you're gonna, like, honestly, that's a part of transitioning into being a big brother and then an OG.
Yeah.
Right? It's just realizing, like, you're now a symbol. You're now a pathway.
Right. You're the blueprint.
To some people, you're going to be a blueprint. Right? Like, you're, in their eyes, you're not in the race with them. You're done with the race. You've gotten somewhere they want to get to. And you've illuminated a path that they may not have known existed.
Right.
Right? And so, and a part of that is just knowing that, I mean, you didn't light that path for just yourself.
Right.
And you have to accept that some people's approach to that, like, there's going to be a spectrum. Some people are going to see that you forged the path, and their inspiration is going to be, I can forge a path. Other people's inspiration is going to be, let's do exactly what he did. Right? Now, both people having success, I am going to be proud of. I am definitely going to be more proud of the people who saw the true influence, because this is what I got from Jay Dilla. This is why now I can make beats that sound nothing like Jay Dilla, and I still hear Jay Dilla in the beats. My true inspiration from Jay Dilla wasn't to sound like him. It was he forged his own path.
Right.
No one did what he did before him. And then as soon as people started doing what he did, he changed what he did. Right? To me, that is the root influence of an innovator. It's not to do what they did, but to do whatever the fuck you want to do and forge a path with it.
Being inspired by what they did.
Yeah. But being inspired from an innovative level
Right.
rather than
Right.
a functional level.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
What about you, OJ?
So
you start processing your vocals in a certain way, and somebody's like, "Yo, that shit is fucking crazy. I'm so inspired." And then they do something similar, and be like, "Yo, got this 100% from LJ." Are you like?
I mean, going back to just what you said, like, the conversation is one thing, but just for instance, when you were saying you went through, the sabbatical, or whatever, and you realized a lot of your influences, I think that's part of, when you're inspired by the greats or whatever the case may be, and you try to put your influences in what you're doing, or you're just realizing what you're influenced by. A lot of times that become a gumbo of everything. That still becomes a new something.
Right.
Versus if I sit down and do everything that you would do.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying just like a piece. So specifically the way you like this effect you put on vocals of the song you produce.
I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that. Simply because, I mean, it's here. It's here for a reason. It's whether the way you process your shit or whatever, like, we're still limited to a certain amount of whatever the case may be, even pianos, whatever.
Yeah.
We're still limited to a certain amount of resources in that regard. So I wouldn't be fucked up by that. Like, but it just comes down to with how intentional were you trying to replicate what the fuck I do, versus using it as a starting point and being like you were saying, I watch Mad do a lot of shit, and I'd be like, okay, I see how he did that. I would use that over here and see what that sound like, versus just be like, okay, bet every time I make a beat, the kick gotta go here, you gotta sound this way, the snare has to, because this is how Mad does it. Like, nah, it's like, I'm inspired by that. I see what he does with it. Okay, but now let me try to use that concept over here and see if that works for me. Versus just, following that whole thing.
Stacking tools, man.
Yeah. Well, so does it go how? So one more nuance to talk about. Like was it Easter Gun Day? When my man was like, nah, everybody want to make T-shirts.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? How
Wrestling names.
you know what I'm saying? So that's an example. That's a funny example, but it's real. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's say you start, putting out T-shirts with graphics on it. You know what I'm saying? It's my thing. I'm gonna start selling T-shirts, right? Selling T-shirts is a thing that a lot of people have done, but maybe nobody in your immediate circle has started doing that, right? So once you start doing that and people start doing that, you know what I'm saying? Something that's not maybe unique to you, but unique to your community, right? And then they can start making their own T-shirts as well.
Yeah.
Is that
Bro.
niggas biting? You know what I'm saying?
My bad. Even with that though, like if you started making T-shirts because you were influenced by somebody else, and then you can't call the community that's influenced by you biting, like nigga, you didn't start this idea. This didn't come from you. Now if they make the T-shirt same design, same, get the same prints out of then okay, obviously, but just like I said, we all limited to a certain amount of resources. So if a group of niggas just pop out and start making T-shirts, I can't be like, you biting because I was the first nigga making T-shirts. Like, that's crazy.
Like, I've experienced biting firsthand from my production and from my actual song. Like, my production part, of course, we were all using one computer or whatnot, but this fool decided he wanted to sit in a session with niggas that knew me and that knew of that beat, because I had made it the day that they were in there. And he decided to say, yeah, I made this joint, you know what I'm saying? What y'all want to do with it, you know what I'm saying? I'll sell it to y'all for about $200. And they came to me saying, hey, bro, didn't you make such and such beat?
Gotta die.
I was like, and they played it for me. I was like, bro, that's my beat. Yeah, and like, of course, they went looking for him, didn't find it. But anyway, on the song part, he was never found after that.
So he just took the beat you
he
made
literally
and
took
tried
my
to sell
literally
it?
took my
Right,
beat,
like,
put some effects on it, put a phaser on it or whatnot, so it wouldn't sound.
That's
bro.
crazy, yo. What?
I'm dead
Now you gotta
serious.
see me, bro.
I'm dead serious.
Especially with
And
the same
so
hood, like,
on the music side, literally on the music side,
Phaser beats. Let's go.
I made a song. I did. I think I did a video to it or whatnot, but my song actually got replicated exactly the way the cadence was, exactly how the hook was. They even went so far as taking my song and taking it to a producer that works here in Memphis. I'm not going to mention their name. And actually got them to replicate my exact song just so they could sing it exactly how I sang it with totally different bars.
Yes.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, it's still up to this day. The video is still, I'll show y'all after this session is over. But yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think another thing too,
I can't imagine.
consider as well. I think proximity matters depending on how close, like, so if I'm doing something and it's known that I'm doing it, then all of a sudden someone else popped out and be like, yo, I'm doing this thing. Like, I think that matters. And I say that because ideas in general, they're not specific to one person. Because you can have an idea today and someone across the world can have the same idea. It's just a matter of who gets it out first. So I think that plays a part. Like, if we're in the same neighborhood and I'm known for this thing, all of a sudden you pop out doing the same exact, then yeah, off top, I'm like, you
so you just got to take the L. It was like, oh damn, he did it first.
I mean, that's normally how it goes. Like, there's a few songs that's out today that came out like years ago, and I remember like making the beat and everything. The next thing I know, I'm online. I'm like, I don't know this person, but they have their big artists or whatever, but they got a song and a beat that's very similar to what I just made. It's like, I can't be like, them niggas biting. How? They don't know you. You've never put this out. Like, where did they get it from? Like, that's what I'm saying is the ideas, they're not just for one particular person,
Yeah.
So I think the proximity of these ideas plays a part.
Without a doubt. I couldn't agree more.
Anybody
I
in
don't
chat
know.
with the chat saying?
Nothing. They just chilling, listening. If y'all got opinions, drop them in the chat, man. Drop a comment.
Period.
It's
Yeah.
it's the equivalent to me. First thing I remember at one point, niggas used to say Kobe was straight biting Mike, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like after a while, Kobe became Black Mamba, and you can no longer be like, this nigga is Michael Jordan Jr. Like,
Right.
he's Kobe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he
so
was definitely doing things Jordan with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like you can clearly see the influence, but at the same time, you still know that this nigga is Kobe.
But the thing that I always loved about Kobe regarding that was like number one, Kobe never acted like he wasn't doing
Facts.
that. That's
That's right.
off top. You know what I'm saying? This man would be clear as day. Like, no, I learned this from Mike.
Yeah.
Secondarily, Mike showed him these things.
Yeah.
He would call Mike. Like it wasn't like he was doing it on the low. Like they would talk about how to do it. on
No,
the
I,
phone.
I agree.
Facts.
I
Yeah,
agree.
you
But
know.
I guess that's what I'm saying. For if you've never known of Kobe and just happen one day see this nigga playing, you're like,
Sure.
this nigga is Michael Jr. Like,
Right.
you will automatically be like, he's biting. But like you said, unless you have the context and Kobe let it be known, like, nah, shit, I called up big homie. He showed me over the summer X, Y, and Z. But for the outsider, that automatically might be like he biting until you actually look at his game and you be like, okay, well, Mike didn't do this.
Yeah, but even then, like that kind of goes back to what I was saying, which is the eventual maturation process. So it's
Yeah.
like, young Kobe was just like a recreation of young Jordan. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But, the second half of Kobe's career, Kobe started doing Kobe things.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying? And taking over Kobe way. You know what I'm saying? Big shout out to Jordan, who's still the GOAT to me. But,
Of course.
But Kobe dropped 81, homie. You know what I'm saying? and Kobe, honest, I'm gonna be real. I remember at the end of Kobe's career, I remember watching him play and being like, bro, Jordan is the GOAT, undoubtedly. But Kobe might be a better scorer than Jordan, fam. Like, he might have started where Jordan left off. Cause some of the shots, some of the shots he would make, it would just be like, I don't know how people make that shot. You know what I'm saying? Like, how did Kobe even do that?
The over the backward. Yeah.
Kobe would fade away from 50 feet out and drop off. The coach would be out there trying to block. And Kobe would take it off.
Sideline, the coach
Yeah, man. Kobe was crazy.
Okay.
Brian trying to catch up.
All right. So we had a secondary topic. We got a few minutes left. We had a secondary topic. What was that secondary topic?
Oh, well, we were kind of bouncing, but what inspired? Well, we'll go with yours. Is it important to be solely an engineer or solely a producer, or should you be both?
Or I think the way he positioned it was like how optional.
Yeah, in today's time,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
is it really necessary to be a producer engineer, or is it okay to just be either or? Like,
I don't think it was ever necessary, but I do think, I don't know. I mean, I feel like now, I don't think quality, I don't think high. I joke about this all the time. I used to say like, I get paid the most for engineering every time TDE drops an album. Right? Because when TDE drops an album, they have such high production quality, and people remember, like, wow, this is what it looks like when you take it seriously. And then who do I know? Oh, the guy who talks about it on social media all the time. I make mad beats. And so it kind of, it's not as a natural state. So like, I feel like for artists on the ground to feel like they gotta get in the studio and get a professional recording and have it professionally mixed and mastered, I don't think that, at least in comparison to what it used to be, where it was just like, nah, like, this is what you do. You save up money, you go to the studio, blah, blah.
yeah, well, I'm speaking more so even just from the producer standpoint, like, because we were talking about like how everything out the gate on Splice, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Versus when you go digging for records and digging for drum breaks, you still, you might sample them, but you still EQ them a certain way to master a song or, just texturize it differently.
Well,
like, is that still as
so,
important?
So I think, so this is actually a great topic. I love this topic. This kind of reminds me of when Illmind first started selling drums. And people thought he was crazy for doing that, like selling his drums and this technique that he had learned for years and how to make his drum sound a certain way, and he started giving that away to people for $60 or whatever.
Man,
Yeah, you know, and I remember people thinking he was crazy. Why would you do it? Why would you do that? You know, and you're right. You know, most of the things on Splice have good sound quality. The textures are treated. They have standards at Splice. You know what I'm saying? But none of that changes. And this is where I say, you know, let me just ask you this. You ever been going through your drum samples and you like, damn, that kick hard. Let me get down to the chord. Damn, that snare is hot. Let me get down to the chord. Right? And you start making a beat, and all of a sudden the kick and the snare ain't hitting as hard as it was. Now, hold on. The kick and the snare sound great.
solo by itself. Exactly.
Absolutely. But that's why I say engineering is never about solo sound. It was always about how to create space and how to make maybe not even great sound great in the context of other sounds. So even though you have platforms where things sound great individually, that means nothing on how they will sound collectively.
I agree.
I think I'm having a little trouble, like, in the context of your question, just putting a hard line on what exactly is engineering and what is not. Because, you know, like, if you just throw in the 808 and just boost it to all hell, you know what I mean? On the low end, right? Or even lower, like you put a beat together and you lower the snare, you know what I'm saying? Because it's too loud, right? Does that mean you're an engineer now? Or does that mean you have started engineering because you're leveling out the sounds of the beat you're making? You know, so it's really like, where's that line of what is and isn't engineering? Because, you know, at the, you know, similar to this conversation we had,
Learn together.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like you may not be necessarily good or follow some of the techniques used by the greats, but I feel like I would argue that as soon as you start making beats, like you kind of start down that path as well.
Yeah, but I don't think this question is like, maybe the way you phrase it, I think there's a little bit more nuance to what he may be meaning. It's not whether or not you are or aren't engineering. I guess it's how much higher capacity learning and priority should be spent on it at this point in the game. Meaning like adjusting some volume, maybe a high pass filter, blah, blah, blah. That's dramatically different from like, you know, Fab Filter Pro MD.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Side things off the ball. Yeah. How much is that information?
I just think because I know we talked, of course, Dilla, the way like Dilla shit came out, his production just sounded out, you know, through the machine itself. And I feel like back then it was more needed to at least have more knowledge about it, just because the quality wasn't as good as it is now. Like you had to process your shit differently back then to make it sound a certain way. Now it's like you said, different platforms where it sounds good coming out. So are you prioritizing like making it fit the song, making these sounds work, or are you just dropping shit in there and just letting it out? Like this is a beat. Like what's the I guess how is it going now?
I mean, I think you have to ask yourself, what's the goal? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is your goal? Like so for me, as a producer, I like to make songs. I don't just like to make beats. I don't like to give beats to people. I like to make a song. You know, and so that's the goal is to write songs as hard as build complete songs. And so with that, engineering, very. But either way, I think, and that's ultra cool. You know what I'm saying? I don't think there was a definition going on sides. I think what it is I just like as always, the more you can do, the easier it's going to be to set yourself apart from others. So your ability to design sounds, to control those in your own unique and specific way. To me, I think about started making like it wasn't even like it was like you make beats, like just being able to do it was an amazing thing. You know what I'm saying? Now it's like this phone in my pocket, you know what I'm saying? So you know, with that being said, everybody has a high quality sound and program fine. It's just like well, you know, it's just like college, right? You go to college. The number one reason to go to college is to make it, is to change the odds on whether or not you're like the job you want. That's it. Before you go to college, you don't want to do X, Y, and Z. After you go to college, you want to change the odds. You have a sheet of set of experience. Okay, it was 1 and 1 now. Now it's 1 and 1. Doesn't mean you're going to get it, but you change these odds. I feel like that's the constant conversation. It's the decision. You know. How much value changing for you because if you're just doing what everybody else can, you will be in that in 6 months.
It's kind of like, you know, isn't necessary to turn into something.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
Indeed. Right quick.